This is a response from Oak Hills Local School District related to the Delhi Town Center bus incident, where they changed their procedure, where there's an outstanding investigation by the Ohio State Highway Patrol, and where I believe that I found chronic, multiple bus-related safety incidents, more than what I've posted. There should be more to come. And these are the statements from the Delhi Town Center. And I would implore anyone, after listening to me read these statements, to compare that to the posted video and make your own determination about who's being the most truthful with their statements, who's being the most kid-centered, kid safety with their statements, and who might be hyperbolizing or making statements of deceit. So I'm going to read these statements from the Oak Hills Local School District staff that I apparently interacted with that day. On 4/14/26, I responded to the OHLSD to follow up with the employees who had contact with Mr. Gages at dismissal on 4/13/26. I spoke to Jessica E., Danny B., and Sarah C. Each of them provided a statement. Jessica E. While on the playground prior to the afternoon dismissal, I saw Mr. Gages behind the school bus and went over to move our students away from him. He was talking to another aide and turned to me and kept repeating, "Is this your property?" After that, he asked if I thought it was appropriate for the bus to be sitting there without lights and the stop sign out. I stated yes. I thought it was appropriate because cars can go around. Keep in mind, I'd be going around and crossing over a double yellow line to go around, just for clarity. Back to her statement. After that, Danny was engaged with Mr. Gages, and I encouraged her to stop talking to him. I was concerned for the children because he had a mask on, the back of my neck. He had a mask on, and our children are often scared of masks. We had our children leave the playground so that they don't experience any conflict. Now, I wonder if they're afraid of all masks, or if the children are only afraid of like really scary masks. You know, maybe some people are afraid of clowns or something like that, or maybe a devil mask would scare them. But a vendetta mask? I don't know about that one. I'd like to video record the children on Halloween up there, because something tells me they all got masks on. I used to work at Cincinnati State, where they bring the children around on Halloween. They all had masks on. Now you say, oh, that's on Halloween. Do kids really know at that age when Halloween is and when it isn't? Or are they really scared when somebody's wearing a mask on the back of their neck? Not on the face. Wasn't on my face. On the back of their neck. Let's go on. Danny B. At afternoon dismissal, while stopped behind the school bus, Mr. Gages had a mask and camera that was pointed at himself, and he was talking. I didn't know what he was doing and was concerned that he wasn't in his right mind. Really? What gave you that concern? A guy on a bus with a camera and you think he's not in his right mind? Why is that? Is it because it's Rich Gages and people have talked about me and said bad things about me? Because I do government accountability? I'd be curious to depose some of these folks. Once he turned the camera directly toward the bus and children, that is when I approached him. I told him, now I don't believe that's going to be true either. She approached me. If you look at the video, she approached me after I'd had the camera on her, and I told her I couldn't hear her and that she'd have to come to me if she wanted to speak with me. Wasn't about the bus and children. I told him he could go around the bus because the stop sign wasn't out. He started to correct me, and I engaged back. I told him his mask was creepy and it was inappropriate to be around the children with his camera and mask on, and I told him to just go. And he just stood there talking to his video camera. I walked away to get the kids on the bus, and 4 teachers lined up with their backs facing him so that he couldn't get video of the kids. We stayed there until the students were on the bus and the bus doors were closed. Now, just for clarity, my interpretation of that, and so far pre-investigation, the Ohio State Troopers' interpretation of that, as I understand it, would be if I would have listened to her advice and go around the double yellow lines of that road, that I would have been committing a crime. But but I don't believe I committed a crime, regardless of whether I could have gone around that bus or not. And for her to say that she was concerned that I wasn't in my right mind, it sounds defamatory to me. I'd like to hear what it is. Is it just that I was wearing a mask because I do government accountability and I was riding throughout Delhi with the mask on my back so that drivers could see it as they passed and understand that, hey, this guy is not pro-government? Is it because I protested against the Oak Hills Local School District levy? Or maybe you out of your right mind to make an accusation that I'm out of my right mind, or that you were concerned that I wasn't in my right mind. It sounds a little defamatory to me, but I'm sure for some reason it's not. The last statement, Sarah C. At afternoon bus dismissal, a man on a bike was parked behind the bus. He had torn clothes and a mask on his neck. He was not wearing it, but it was resting behind his head. White with black details, anonymous hacker mask. We were escorting kids to the bus, and we assured he was unaware he could go around. My coworker told him, and he became argumentative. Excuse me. I don't think I was argumentative, but possibly I was. I would say they were definitely argumentative, more so than I was. My coworker disengaged, and when we had those kids on the bus safely, we told other coworkers, as we were fearful of what he might do to kids and to adults. Why? Why were you fearful? Because of a mask, which is a form of freedom of speech. I wasn't on my face. Or because of a camera, which is freedom of press. This is why I do it, because with these statements, without my camera, it makes me look a lot worse than I think the video evidence does, and the sacrifice and effort I'm putting in for the safety of the kids up there. Remember, they agreed with me enough to where they changed their actions from not using the stop sign and lights to what I call common sense safety that some of these people witnessing here disagreed that that's common sense safety. I can tell you that the Oak Hills Local School District didn't make the choice to use a stop sign and the flashing lights going forward to appease me. They didn't do it to appease me. I think they did it because they realized that the law requires it, but to give them benefit of the doubt, they did it because it's common sense safety that these workers didn't recognize. I forgot where I left off. As we were fearful of what he may do to the kids and to the adults. I have no violent history. I'm not a violent person. Last time I was in a fight, I think was 8th grade. I'm 50-something years old. It's shameful, in my opinion, what these workers are doing. This is shameful. These accusations are shameful. The way they're feeling makes me feel like there's something wrong with them if they're truly feeling that way and they're not lying in these statements. So you were concerned about these folks' safety. Do you know who Nick Shirley is? He's going around video recording school learning centers and I think babysitting centers that were frauding the government for millions, if not billions of dollars. And they called them names like racist and now they're trying to pass a law against his freedom of press. It's disgusting. And I look at this as in that same reign. If I've learned nothing else, Oak Hills Local School District allegedly is trying to take away my rights. That's what's going on. Take away my rights. And this is a school district, remember, that allegedly had a fitness instructor investigated by the FBI for distributing child porn while employed at Oak Hills Local School District, as I understand it, who ultimately committed suicide. And some of his co-workers, one or more, thought he was the nicest guy. He was just the nicest guy. Damn right we want to look at where the kids are. Every camera, every citizen camera on these kids is another point of safety for these kids. That's how I look at it. When government controls the cameras, the video footage goes missing, or it costs you $327 to get it, or they just say you can't have it. Because that's happened to me too with Oak Hill's local school district. Doesn't fulfill a records request for video footage that would have helped me prove my case of innocence. He refused to leave and continuing to record. Is that even the right English? He refused to leave and was continuing to record. I guess so. We had many other kids to board on the bus, so we made a barrier of our employees so they could not have direct view of our students. All faculty stayed together until the bus doors were closed to ensure safety of kids, and we went inside. See what they're doing here, folks? Is they're twisting this from, and I'm speaking to you honestly, they're twisting this from a government accountability safety for kids effort by me, which actually resulted in change of their policy and procedures to the benefit of kid safety, which they're currently under investigation of by the Ohio State Highway Patrol, and they're making me out to be some kind of person who for some reason needs to be feared and causes fear in others for their safety. Not because he said he was going to hit them, not because I said, oh, I'm going to smack you, or hey, I'm going to run you over with my bicycle or anything like that. But no, because I engaged them in articulating what I thought was my lawful duty to not pass the bus, and articulating that I thought it was a safety issue. And if you hear me on the video, before I engaged with anyone, I articulated that safety issue to my audience on the camera, and I stated I'm not going to engage. That's what I said. I'm not going to engage the bus driver. My intent was not to engage anyone. They engaged me, and they did so in a very aggressive way. Go look at the video. Any aggression in me that day is part of my personality. It wasn't an intentional act of aggression, but I thought I was pretty professional. I did challenge them on some things related to both law and safety. Ultimately, their higher-ups determined that I was right in the safety analysis, at least in part, that they should implement those safety steps. And again, this isn't an isolated case. Oak Hill's local school district has multiple school bus complaints from me over a year or two, on and off. All faculty stayed together until the bus doors were closed. He eventually went to the front of the building, and we had extra adults outside at dismissal. Now, me personally, I'm not a big fan of tattoos. I don't care what the tattoo is. Just as a personal subjective thing, I'm not a fan of tattoos. And when I see that the school has employed, apparently, a gentleman with shorts on with a huge tattoo on his leg, that catches my attention. And so, yeah, that's what's described in part of this. And another thing I'll point out is when I went to the back of the building, I engaged with in a consensual, how you doing, short conversation with a guardian, I believe. 100% friendly, no complaint, no problemo, only problemo. No kid raised any kind of concern, started screaming, yelling, crying, saying I'm scared, saying this guy might be out of his right mind. Nope. Only the government employees who I'm trying to hold to accountability, not a special accountability, but an accountability defined by law. And they make these determinations of me, which do seem very defamatory. Not a lawyer, not legal advice, nothing like that. And I'm sure it's not defamatory because most complaints I have against government, they find themselves not to be guilty of. And so that's what it is. I appreciate everybody listening and watching. God bless. I have several things going on right now. And yeah, it's a lot. Doing this accountability is a lot. But I feel it's a duty. And I do my best. Thanks for watching. God bless.